Good morning, good evening, good whatever time of the day it is. I hope you're having a wonderful day. My name is Yewande and welcome to the Analysis Paralysis podcast. This is my first episode and I'm very excited because this is something I'm very passionate about. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking all things mental health, all the tips and tricks I picked up over the years and how I manage my own so you can hopefully learn how to manage your own mental health as well. So stick around. Grab yourself a cup of tea. I have peppermint tea right now with me, and I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello. So this is episode 1 of the Analysis Paralysis podcast, and today I want to talk about how to get through a depressive episode. I've had maybe about 5 or 6 myself, and it's taken me all of those to figure out how I need to get healthy again and how I can do it quickly. And now that I have all my tips compiled, I hope to share it with you and I hope it will help some of you. So first I want to go through a disclaimer that the information in this episode is not a substitute for actual professional help. And if you are struggling, you should see a doctor, a therapist, a psychiatrist, whatever you can, but you deserve to get real professional help in order to get better and to get healthy again. That being said, let's get into the tips. So I have broken these down into 2 categories for you today. The first is set your intentions towards your health. So this is all the planning that goes into getting better once you realize you're in a depressive episode. And then the second category is acting in a way that supports your health. So these are all the things that need to be done in order to get healthy again. I wanted to mention that I do say health intentionally because depression is an illness and it should be treated as such. I think it's problematic that we treat depression as like moodiness or being emotional, because that's not really what it is. It's a imbalance in the brain and in the nervous system, and it deserves to have the same treatment as you would treat a physical illness. So let's get into setting your intentions towards your health. So the first thing you want to do is make an appointment with your therapist, your general practitioner, your psychiatrist, whoever is supporting your health, prescribing your medication, helping you get through this mental illness. You want to set up an appointment with them if you don't already have regular appointments. Let them know what's going on so that they can support you. This is especially important if you're having any sort of suicidal thoughts or if this is really, really affecting your life. It's super important to check in with your doctor or your therapist to see if there's anything they can do. The other thing is that doctor's notes might be necessary or helpful for the next step, which is to get support or accommodations at school or work as you would if you were physically ill. Again, like I said, depression should be actually treated as an illness because it is an illness. The other thing that getting support and accommodations will help is it will help clear up some mental space so that you can focus on getting healthy again, and it will help to reduce the overwhelm that you might feel when you come back to your responsibilities. So if you are in school right now and you email your teachers and you say, hey, I am really struggling with my mental health right now, I might need a week or 2 off and then I'll be back. It really will reduce the overwhelm because most teachers will be willing to help you, not all of them, of course, but they will be willing to help you and give you accommodations so that when you come back, you can get right back into your schoolwork. I know it may be more difficult to take time off from work, but it should be possible because, again, depression is an illness. If you had a really bad flu, you would be able to take time off of school or work. If you got in a car crash, you would be able to take time off school or work, and you would have accommodations in place to help you get back in. So depression, like having a depressive episode, is not your fault. It's something that happens, unfortunately, and it's the same as any other illness. So remember, it's not your fault. Remember, it's okay to ask for support and accommodations in order to clear up mental space to help you to get healthy again. And the third thing you want to do in terms of preparation and setting your intentions is a little exercise that you can even do right now if you want to, is make a list of all the things you are having difficulty with at the moment. This can include things like sleeping, eating, hygiene, exercise, isolating yourself, getting work done. There's so many things and so many areas that depression affects, and it's really good to be honest with yourself about what you're struggling with right now. And then from there, you can choose 1 to 3 things to focus on and write these into daily goals. So for example, if you are having a lot of trouble eating, if you're, forgetting or just not having the energy, the first thing you're going to want to focus on is eating every day. If you're having trouble getting out of bed, you want the first thing you focus on to be getting out of bed every day. It can also be helpful to share your goals with your support systems. Obviously, if you want to, you do not have to. If you live with your family or if you live with roommates, you can share it with them. You can share these goals with your therapist. And this will help with motivation. They may be able to hold you accountable for reaching your goals, and it will also help them to be more empathetic to what you're struggling with at the moment. A lot of people who don't have depression don't know how many basic things that we struggle with when we are depressed. So if you tell them, okay, I'm really struggling with getting out of bed and eating, they can understand, okay, they'll understand what you're struggling with a little bit more and be a little bit more empathetic and understanding to you. They might also be able to help you. It really depends on your situation and on the type of support system you have, but it can be helpful. The next thing I want to talk about is all the actions that go into getting you healthy during a depressive episode. I think when we get depressed, if you're like me and you're an overthinker, you tend to think about, why am I depressed right now? And you tend to think about big things that you really don't have the mental capacity to focus on. So there is a chance that you are getting depressed all the time because you have childhood trauma, because you have self-sabotaging tendencies. And it's good to recognize those, but those will not get you out of the depressive episode. There's a lot of very simple things that you can do to help you feel better. And once you are better and mentally stable again, then you can address the big things. But if you're having trouble getting out of bed and eating and showering, you're not going to be able to deal with these big self-esteem issues or these trauma issues. When you're depressed, you are in fight or flight mode. Your nervous system is really overwhelmed. You have trouble making decisions. You have trouble thinking clearly. So you don't want to overwhelm yourself with a bunch of really big ideas. That being said, there are 3 things that I think help the most with getting out of the depressive episode when it comes to actions. Now, the first one is getting your sleep schedule under control. It tends to be really difficult because depression does really affect sleep, and this is why it's also a good idea to talk to your doctor, see if you can, change your medications or get on medication if you need to, or look for over-the-counter supplements that might help you. Anything like that, but it's a good idea to focus on your sleep first. So the first thing you're going to want to do is try to wake up and go to bed at the same time every single day. Now, it does not matter if you're going to bed at 4 a.m. and waking up at noon, as long as you're doing that consistently. So you don't want to let yourself sleep all day. You don't want to let yourself stay up way later than you're used to. You want to have a very consistent sleep schedule, and this will help to level you out and to improve your mood and really to stabilize your nervous system a little bit more, and it just makes everything a lot easier. So even if you really messed up your sleep schedule, let's say you're starting at, I'm going to bed at 6 a.m, which been there, done that. That is totally fine as long as you are waking up at the same time every day. And slowly you can try to push your sleep schedule back so that you're waking up in the morning, which is good because then you get sunlight and social interaction and stuff, which is of course really good for your mental health. But You do not need to do that right away. I will emphasize that the most important part of this is waking up at the same time every day. Not letting yourself lay in bed all day, not letting yourself sleep the day away. Even if that's what you feel like doing, that's what you feel like you need to do because you have chronic fatigue from being depressed, it is not helping. If you do want to start waking up in the morning, you're also going to want to make sure you go to bed at the right time. If waking up in the morning is totally impossible for you right now, that is okay. If you're waking up at 4 p.m., that is okay. Don't judge yourself. But you have to get out of bed at 4 p.m. every single day. What helps with waking up and going to bed at the same time every day is a morning and night routine. So maybe you're going back to a routine that you fell off of, or maybe you're creating a new routine. Morning routines will help you with getting up, having something to look forward to. It will also help minimize the amount of decisions you have to make first thing in the morning. Making decisions can be really, really difficult when you're depressed, so it's great to just have a list of things that you do first thing in the morning. Same with going to bed. It helps with decision fatigue, and it also helps to relax you. If you do the same set of things every night before you go to bed, that will help to signal to your brain that it's time to sleep, and you'll have a much easier time sleeping. So I've written a little sample morning routine and night routine for depression based on what has worked best for me and also what my doctors and my therapists have recommended that I do. You can add things to this, you can take things off of this, just find what works for you. And of course, if it seems like, oh, that's too many things to do in a routine, just pick one thing, pick 2 things, pick 3 things. You don't want to burn out, so just do things slowly and you'll get better in time, I promise. As a sample morning routine, one of the things you want to do is get out of bed right when your alarm goes off, which is difficult, of course, and it might be helpful to even keep your alarm across the room so you have to get up to turn it off, but you're going to want to move around when you get up, and this will help wake you up. You know, if you have like hypersomnia when you get depressed, you're going to want to move around so you don't fall asleep again. And again, you don't want to be sleeping the days away as much as that's like the tendency when you're depressed. You really don't want to be doing that. So get out of your bed, turn off the alarm, and move around, you know, go to the washroom, wash your face, whatever you're doing. Walk around your room a couple times, walk up and down the stairs. It doesn't really matter. Like, let your dog out. I don't know. Whatever you have to do, just move around a little bit. The next thing you're going to want to do is either turn on your lights or open the blinds. That depends on, you know, when you wake up and if it's sunny that day. But you're going to want to have some light, and that will help to wake you up. It's also possible to get those mood lights that like replicate the sun, and that might help. The other thing is that if you live with people, if you live with roommates or with your family, it might be helpful to get them to check on you, to make sure that you're awake, to make sure that, you know, you haven't fallen asleep again. It might also be helpful if you do live alone, or if your family or roommates wouldn't do that for you, to have a friend to call you. You might even have like your therapist, your doctor might do this for you. They might not, but it's always an option to have someone call you when you want to wake up, or about 30 minutes after your alarm goes off, to make sure that you are awake. And that can be super helpful. The next thing you want to do is drink a big glass of water. Again, will help to wake you up, and you can get really dehydrated when you're depressed. You can forget to drink water a lot of the time if you're like me, or, you know, you're crying a lot. You need to drink water to replenish that. So it's good to drink a big glass of water first thing when you wake up, and that way you'll kind of get a head start on the day. And if you forget for the rest of the day, at least you will have some water in your system, which of course is good for you and good for your energy levels and everything. The next thing is a tip that might not be applicable to everyone, but if you tend to have high anxiety levels when you are in a depressive episode, it's good to include either meditation or something active first thing in the morning. I think when I was in like very deep depressive episodes, this would just be like turning on like a yoga video on YouTube and doing some yoga. Right now I meditate every morning and that's really helpful for me. You can also go for a walk every morning. Again, like if you have a dog, I think that would be really helpful. You just take them for a walk every morning. Or, take a walk to the mailbox, take a walk to get a coffee, take a walk around your block. It doesn't have to be super long, but if you do wake up anxious in the morning, doing something active can be really helpful. Our cortisol levels are usually pretty high in the morning, so you can wake up feeling already anxious. So something active might help. Again, can be like a short walk, some stretching, and if you can do like a little workout or a big workout if you want, then like good for you. Do that. And then the second final thing you want to do in the morning is eat breakfast. You want to aim for eating breakfast around the same time every morning. This can also be really helpful with your sleep schedule because if you eat breakfast at the same time every morning, you are going to wake up around that time or before that time because you're going to be hungry. So that can also help reset your sleep schedule. That's something I didn't know until a couple months ago, that like eating times really influence your sleep schedule, but it does really influence it, and it's very helpful. Eating a big breakfast will also help with your energy levels. It doesn't have to be big, of course, if you don't have an appetite, but eat something and that will be good. And the last thing you want to do in your morning routine is change out of your pajamas. Now I know you just want to stay in your pajamas all day because you're depressed. Don't worry, you can change out of one pair of pajamas and get into another pair if that's what you want to do. That's totally fine, but you want to change out of the clothes that you slept in. And this will kind of help to signal to your brain that you've gone from sleeping to being awake, right? Those are my tips. That's my sample morning routine. Of course, you can add things to it. And for a night routine, here's some things that you want to do. The first thing you want to do is try to limit screen time at least an hour before bed. This can be difficult, especially if you need the distraction. So you might just want to get a blue light filtering app if you're on your phone. And then the other thing you want to do if you are on screens before bed is try to avoid things that might make you upset. You know, we tend to be a little bit more emotionally sensitive, or a lot more emotionally sensitive when we're having a depressive episode. And I know personally, if I'm like scrolling through Instagram, I'm likely to see something that will make me angry or make me sad. You know, I mean, there's so much news on Instagram now, which is a good thing on some hands, but also it can be really upsetting. So I think it's better if you are on screens before bed to, be on something like Pinterest, where it's like just nice photos to look at, or watch like videos that won't upset you, or be like watching a show or a movie before you go to bed. I think that is a good way to hopefully avoid seeing anything that will make you upset before you go to bed, and it will help you to relax, of course. The next thing you want to do in your night routine is as much self-care as you have the energy for. So this part can be really difficult when you're depressed, especially if it has gotten particularly bad. But there's kind of like an order of priority when it comes to self-care and hygiene. I think brushing your teeth is the most important thing. So if that's all you can do, just do that. And then after that, it can be washing your face, brushing your hair, showering. If you can only do one of those things or two of those things, that's great. And I think it can be really relaxing to do that every night before you go to bed. Now, if you have enough energy to take a hot shower or a bath, baths are really good for depression because, you don't have to be standing up, but that can be really good. Hot showers and baths do actually improve our sleep quality because they relax us, first of all. They help you to deal with any chronic pain that you might be dealing with, especially hot baths. Hot baths with Epsom salts. If you have chronic pain when you're depressed, that can be really helpful. The other thing that hot baths and showers do is that when you get out of them, your internal body temperature lowers a couple, like, notches more. I don't know how much exactly, but having a cool core body temperature helps with sleep quality. So there's a fun fact. And then the next thing you want to do is have a snack or a hot drink. I think a lot of us, like, if you're hungry, it's really hard to fall asleep. So it's nice to just have a light snack, not anything too heavy that will give you, like, indigestion or heartburn, but that can be helpful. Hot drinks are always, like, so relaxing for me, especially, like, chamomile tea or anything, or, like, ginger tea for digestion can be really good. My next tip is to try listening to music, sleep meditations, or ASMR while you're falling asleep, especially if you have, like, intrusive thoughts, because I know when I was depressed, like, my thoughts were, like, just going and going and going in circles and circles, and it would, like, get me to a point where I'm really distressed and I'm up all night because I'm just thinking so much. So it's nice to have something that maybe will take your focus instead of your thoughts. And if you do need, like, even more of a distraction, you can listen to podcasts or audiobooks. You can listen to this one, while you're falling asleep. I've listened to podcasts and audiobooks when I'm falling asleep a lot of the time, and that can be helpful if you have just particular loops of thoughts that you just cannot get to, like, shut up, basically. Just listen to something that will take away your focus, and you can fall asleep during it, and it'll all be good. Yeah, that can, of course, also keep you awake. Like, podcasts and audiobooks can keep you awake, so you just have to see what works for you. And then my last tip for sleep, which is something that I do, is taking a melatonin. I have chronic insomnia. Lots of people with depression have chronic insomnia. Like, it's pretty common. Of course, if you are on any medication, you want to talk to your doctor first. And also for long-term use, like more than, like, a couple of weeks, probably. I don't know. It's on the bottle, so, like, read those instructions, but you're going to want to talk to your doctor just to make sure that it won't have any negative effect on your health. But of course, sleep is super, super important for your health. So do what you need to do in order to sleep. As someone with chronic insomnia, I picked up a lot of tips on how to improve your sleep quality, so I'm just going to, like, list a couple quickly. If you want me to go more in depth about sleep quality and how to improve that, let me know. Like, I could definitely make an episode on that. I love sleeping, so let me know. But some things that you can do are limit or cut out caffeine, of course, if that affects you. Exercise during the day if you can. Leave your bed during the day and only use it for sleep. Get a weighted blanket. I have one of those. They are the best. Have a cold, dark room, so make sure your room's not too hot and make sure there's not a lot of lights on. And taking deep belly breaths as you're falling asleep can also be really helpful. So you just want to breathe deep into your diaphragm. One thing that you can do is inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then exhale for 7 to 8 seconds, and that will calm you down. It will lower your heart rate, and it will help you to fall asleep. The next thing you want to do in terms of actions for depression is to get your eating under control. Also something that can be struggled with, whether you have a very low appetite, which I usually have, or you have overeating, you're eating too much. Either way, like, there's a lot of kind of sick feelings in your stomach, so it's good to get that under control. Your gut health has a lot to do with your mental health. Like, there's a lot of emerging research that says that they're very connected. So this is something that you definitely want to get under control. So the first thing I want to say is that if you're struggling with, like, perfectionism when it comes to eating, just remember that eating something is always better than eating nothing. So if you don't have the energy to have, like, perfectly healthy meals, that is okay. The important thing is that you're eating. That might be something that you want to work on, especially if you struggle with disordered eating. It would be good to work on it with a therapist or a doctor, because it is really important to eat. It's so important for your mental health, for your energy levels. If you're a teenager, it's important for your growth. It's so important to be eating. And you don't need to have it perfectly healthy. So, like, if you are too depressed to cook and you are just like eating frozen dinners, I don't know, like that's better than nothing, basically. So one of my tips that I have is to set alarms to remind yourself to eat. I didn't do this until like a month ago, and I don't know why, because like it helps so much. If you're someone that forgets to eat, or if you need like gentle reminders, you can have your alarm as a name, something that will help motivate you to eat, It can also be helpful if you have a poor appetite, so you don't really get hungry, so you just forget to eat because you're not hungry, right? But you still need to eat, even if you're not hungry, of course. Eating regularly, so like every 3-ish hours, will really help with your energy levels, especially when you're eating high quality carbs and proteins. There's a lot of easy meals that you can have for depression, of course. Not all of them are healthy, but some healthy ideas that might be good for you are oatmeal, especially if you make it in the microwave. Like, it's super quick, super easy, and like oatmeal is very good for you. It's like good carbs, and you can add, peanut butter, fresh fruit, whatever you want. Good for you. Boiled eggs, which I don't personally eat, but if that's something you want, eggs are pretty easy to make. One of my favorite snacks is apple slices with peanut butter. You can also use, almond butter, sunflower seed butter, but that can be a really quick, easy snack. Another thing that's easy to keep on hand is nuts, seeds, and fresh fruit, also dried fruit. If you really can't be bothered to like cook or even put food together, if you have like a bag of almonds, you can just get a handful of almonds and you'll be good, and it's like good protein and good healthy fats, and it'll be really helpful for you and your energy levels. Whole wheat bread and bagels. I say whole wheat because refined carbs can kind of spike your energy levels. They can just like mess with your energy, sugar crashes, all that type of stuff. So it's better to have high quality carbs so that you have good long lasting energy. And then the last two things are protein shakes and smoothies. Again, like those are things that if you just really can't be bothered to cook anything, and if you have like a poor appetite and you just need to drink something, these can be really, really, really good for that. And of course, you can like get veggies in, get protein in. You can make like chocolate protein shakes, whatever you want. I know like when I was depressed, I was drinking a lot of just like glasses of soy milk. There's also like dark chocolate almond milk. I'm kind of getting off topic, but basically, sometimes drinks are easier than meals, and that is okay as long as you are just trying to get food into you regularly. You'll be all good. And then the last thing that I want to talk about in actions is building daily routines that support you. So this is like maybe one of the difficult things, and it might be something that you've been neglecting, which might be why if you crash really regularly, it might be something that you want to pay extra attention to. So when you are depressed, one of the things you want to do is try to build self-care into your daily routine. Go with the momentum. Don't give yourself too many decisions to make, and don't give yourself too much opportunity to forget. So for example, if you have trouble brushing your teeth, you've already built eating into your routine. You just want to brush your teeth right after you eat. Maybe you want to set an alarm so you can brush your teeth. Maybe you want to have a checklist. So at the end of the day, you can be like, did I brush my teeth today? And then, check it off. Whatever will work for you, just do that. The other thing I put, which I kind of already touched on, but if you're having trouble showering or having chronic pain, I really recommend just taking hot baths. This is no exaggeration when I say that taking hot baths is what kept me alive for probably about a month in early 2020, because I could not be bothered to shower, and my back and my chest hurt so much all the time. So, run yourself a warm bath, Epsom salts, peppermint oil. It is so good, and you can listen to music or watch something or read something. Just relax. Really, really good. The next thing is to set 1 to 3 daily goals. So if you remember, I asked you to make a list earlier of all the things you were struggling with. You want to choose things that would be most helpful if you resolve them. So you want to be honest with yourself about how much you can handle at the moment. You don't want to get burnt out, of course. So 1 to 3 things. For example, mine at one point were to eat something every day, get dressed every day, and go outside every day. And then that was it. And then those are the 3 things I would focus on every day. That's all I had the energy for, really. And that's okay. If yours are like, get out of bed, eat something, brush your teeth, like that is great. If that's all you can do, just focus on that. You don't want to burn out, and you don't want to really like get in your head about, oh, am I doing enough? Like, just focus on one thing at a time, and like things will work out. My last tip is to try not to fall into thought spirals. This is like super common when you're depressed, is like, you can't do anything. You're just like lying in bed all day and you're just thinking and thinking and thinking and thinking. But it's like really, really not helpful. So it's great to distract yourself with something. Even if you can't get out of bed, listen to music, listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks. Just keep your mind busy, watching movies, watching TV shows. Like when I was depressed, I started Naruto, which was like the longest series ever, something like that. And that can also just be something to look forward to every day. You're like, I can watch this series, it'll keep your mind busy. You have something to think about other than being depressed, which is super important. If you can, talk to people in your support system, talk to your family, talk to your roommates, call your friends, hang out with your friends in a COVID safe way, of course. You don't need to talk to people about your depression. I think that's something really important. Even if you call them and you're in a crisis, you don't need to talk about being in a crisis if you don't want to. Talk about something unrelated. I think that's even more helpful. Talk about something completely unrelated. Talk about their life. Maybe you're not doing much in your life. Talk about their life. Have a distraction, basically. That's the point. And then the last thing that can be really helpful, especially if you can't work right now, you can't focus, is to have hobbies that are low focus. Of course, it's great, like, if you can work to just, like, do, like, 20 minutes of work, even if that's all you can focus on. But if you truly cannot focus, there are lots of things that you can do to pass the time that don't require a lot of focus. Drawing was one of the things that I did a lot. There's also, like, video games. Like, I played so much Sims 4, and I think that's, like, a comfort thing for a lot of people. Sims 4 or like Animal Crossing or Pokemon. Great games. Yeah. Embroidery, knitting, photography, playing an instrument, singing, whatever hobby you have or want to pick up that doesn't require too much mental energy, it's going to be great. It's really going to help you get through this. Even if in the moment you're like, oh, I'm really not enjoying this, just do it to pass the time, Eventually you're going to build up positive experiences, and that's really going to help you through this time. Of course, you want to be doing something you enjoy, so, play around, find something you enjoy. Don't get too into it, you still gotta sleep and eat, as I said, but, if you play The Sims 4 all day, that is better than lying in bed and, overthinking your entire life. I promise you, that is better. Those are all my tips, basically. So, to summarize, the first thing I talked about was talking to your doctor, talking to your therapist, getting accommodations at school or work, making a list of all the things you're struggling with, fixing your sleep schedule, getting your eating under control, and building daily routines that will support your health. Those are all the tips I have, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm very excited for you to hear it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. I put my email for this podcast in the podcast description. It's overthinkerspod@gmail.com. So let me know if you have any questions, if you want to see anything in future episodes, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye!